This is Global Signals by Andrew Dremen, deep dives and insights about retail and FMCG. So, imagine you were playing a game. You have to follow these really strict rules.
Right, but your opponent just gets to ignore them completely.
Exactly. I mean, they get to build their empire quietly because they tell the referee, hey, we are too small to be a real threat. And, well, that is exactly what happened in the UK grocery market.
Yeah, it's wild. Aldi and Lidl actually understated their store product ranges by about 40% in official UK regulatory filings.
Yeah, for years, they presented themselves as these simple, limited assortment stores.
They basically flew under the radar. I mean, they claim to be small operators, and they use that status to take massive market share.
But the UK Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA, has officially ended that distinction. They designated both chains as large grocery retailers.
Which is, a huge shift.
It really is. And this deep dive explores why this paperwork change ends an era. Because these discounters claimed small operator exemptions while taking double-digit market share from traditional chains like Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, and Morrison's.
Right, and we want to show you why this actually matters to you and the entire industry.
So I have a simple, direct question. How does a store with a tiny fraction of the products of a standard superstore get labeled as large?
To answer that, we first need to look at the massive structural differences between traditional grocers and hard discounters. The operating models are entirely different, so we have to look at the math.
Okay, let's unpack this. We should compare the numbers. I mean, a traditional UK supermarket has anywhere from 25,000 to 35,000 SKUs.
Yeah, and a hard discounter like Aldi or Lidl has only, 2,500 to 3,000 SKUs.
That's a massive gap.
It is a massive gap, and it changes everything about how the store functions. Look at the private label share.
Right, the store brands.
Exactly. In a traditional store, private label products make up about 45 to 50% of the total items. But in a discounter, private label is 85 to 90%.
Oh, wow. So almost everything in the store is their own brand. That leads directly to how they put products on the shelves.
Yeah.
The merchandising is completely different.
Very different.
I mean, traditional stores use individual shelf stacking. Staff members pick up single boxes or cans.
Right.
And they put them on a shelf one by one. It takes a lot of time.
But discounters avoid that completely. They use retail-ready packaging and pallets.
Yeah.
Over 85% of discounter volume moves directly off wooden pallets and transit cartons.
Let's explain how that works. The products arrive in large cardboard boxes. The front of the box tears off easily. The staff, they don't take the cans out.
Right, they just put the whole box on the shelf. Or they just drop an entire wooden pallet of goods right onto the floor.
Exactly. This saves an incredible amount of time. You move 50 items in the time it takes a traditional worker to move one.
Yep. And this directly changes the staff numbers.
Traditional stores have high staff levels. They need people for specialist counters.
Like the deli or the bakery.
Yeah, exactly. And they need people for constant single-item restocking. But discounters have very low staff numbers.
Right. The few staff members they do have are multitasking all the time. They move from the checkout to the floor and back again.
The sources give us a specific example of how this looks on the shelf. Think about common household items. Aldi and Lidl, well, they do not stock 15 different brands of tomato ketchup.
No. And they don't stock 8 types of standard white sugar either.
They stock one private label option. Occasionally, they will bring in one major brand leader.
That's it.
If you want ketchup, you buy their ketchup.
And that low-cost operating model remains completely intact today. They still operate this way.
I look at the discounter model, like a curated playlist. A standard superstore is like a massive music library.
Right. The playlist is small and focused.
And the library has everything. But I want to push back on this. If their SKU count is still only 10% of a standard superstore, and their low-cost operating model is completely intact, why did the government step in? I mean, they still look small on paper.
What's fascinating here is that the critical factor is category breadth, not SKU depth.
Tell me what that means.
So SKU depth means having 15 types of ketchup. Category breadth means having ketchup, fresh meat, baby food, and electronics.
Ah, I see.
They don't have many items in each category, but they now have items in almost every single category a family needs.
The answer to why regulators stepped in lies in how Aldi and Lidl evolved their assortments over time. I mean, they didn't stay as small, limited stores.
No, they didn't. They slowly changed their shelves to capture the full household food budget.
Yeah.
We can trace this evolution decade by decade. It was a very quiet, stealthy strategy.
Let's start in the 1990s. Back then, discounters had roughly 800 SKUs. The focus was really just top-up shopping.
Right, they sold dry goods and basics.
Shoppers went there first. They bought cheap toilet paper and canned beans. And then they got in their cars and drove to a traditional supermarket for everything else.
Exactly. So the discounter was not a threat to the main grocery trip.
But then we moved to the 2010s. The stores grew. They went from 800 to roughly 1,500 SKUs.
And the focus became a partial basket.
This is when they added fresh produce and meat, right?
Yeah. Shoppers could buy a lot more of their weekly groceries there. They still needed the traditional store, but, not as much.
Now look at the 2020s. Today, they have roughly 2,800 SKUs. The focus is no longer a partial basket.
No, the focus is the full family shop.
They achieve complete meal solutions. They now cover fresh meat. They cover fish.
Organic lines, gluten-free items.
Even baby care products. They cover every essential category you need for a family.
They also use something called the middle aisle draw. These are rotating non-food items. Aldi calls them special buys. Lidl calls it the middle of Lidl.
These items change every week, right? Like one week it's a power drill, the next week it's a winter coat.
Yeah, exactly. These items drive foot traffic. People come in just to see what is in the middle aisle.
And they do this without adding permanent food SKUs to their count.
Right. They also upgraded their private labels. They introduced premium private labels. Aldi has specially selected. Lidl has deluxe.
These high-tier private labels replace premium brands directly. You don't need to buy the expensive brand name olive oil anymore.
You buy the specially selected olive oil instead.
Here's where it gets really interesting. A typical family can now buy 100% of their weekly food needs at Aldi or Lidl.
Right, with just 2,800 items instead of 30,000.
So they grew up, they captured the primary family basket. But how did that trigger a regulatory crackdown on their real estate?
Because discounters evolved to capture the full weekly basket, they became direct threats to traditional supermarkets.
Right.
But they were still using real estate loopholes meant for small stores. This
Yeah.
became a major threat to competition, so the government had to step in with the UK-controlled land order.
Let's explain this regulatory impact. It involves store locations and property agreements. This falls under the UK Groceries Market Investigation Order.
Yeah, people usually just call it the controlled land order.
And this order bans two specific practices for large grocery retailers. The first banned practice is restrictive covenants. This means placing legal restrictions on sold land.
Right. Let's say a large grocery store owns a piece of land. They decide to sell part of it. But they put a strict rule in the sales contract.
A rule that says a rival supermarket can never open on that land in the future.
Exactly. They legally block competitors from getting close to them. The second banned practice is exclusivity agreements. This involves lease deals in shopping centers.
So a large grocery store signs a long lease in a new retail park. The lease includes a clause. It forbids the landlord from leasing any nearby units to other grocery stores.
Right. Again, they legally block rivals from opening next door.
Now we get to the massive loophole. Because Aldi and Lidl were previously treated as small, limited-range retailers, they avoided these strict land rules entirely.
They were playing by a different rule book. The big supermarkets were banned from doing these things, but the discounters were not.
So they used this loophole. They could open stores and legally block legacy competitors from taking adjacent real estate.
Yep, and they could block other discounters from opening next door too. They protected their territory while the traditional supermarkets were not allowed to do the same.
But the new CMA ruling removes that loophole completely. The paperwork change really matters.
It does. They are now officially designated as large grocery retailers.
They must now play under the exact same commercial property rules as Tesco and Sainsbury's. They have the same restrictions. They can no longer use those land covenants or exclusivity agreements.
No more blocking competitors.
So what does this all mean? It reminds me of a younger sibling. The younger sibling gets away with everything for years because they're small. They break the rules, and the parents ignore it. Then they grow up. Suddenly, they have to follow the exact same strict rules as the older sibling. How does this legal change alter the physical map of stores you actually see in a town?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it means a massive shift toward direct, site-by-site competition. The end of this real estate loophole directly changes how these stores compete on the ground.
It also imposes strict new rules for brands trying to get on their shelves in 2026.
Let's talk about the physical stores first. We are going to see retail park land grabs.
Oh, definitely. Without those land covenants blocking them, commercial property fights will become direct and visible.
Expect discounters and traditional grocers to open on the exact same retail park.
Oh, yeah.
They will frequently share adjacent car parks.
Discounters will not avoid competitors anymore. They will intentionally open next to high-cost supermarkets.
Right, they want to capture split basket shoppers.
Think about how you shop. If Aldi and Tesco are in the same parking lot, you walk to Aldi first. You buy your cheap basics.
Then you walk across the parking lot to Tesco to buy the few things Aldi did not have. You split your basket.
And Aldi wants that foot traffic.
This physical closeness increases local price competition significantly. When stores are next door to each other, prices matter more.
The focus will be on key value items. These are known as KVIs.
Right. The items shoppers buy every week. Shoppers know the prices of these items by heart.
The sources give specific examples of these KVIs. We are talking about milk, bread, and eggs.
And bananas, seasonal produce, fresh chicken, and minced beef.
Shoppers judge the entire store based on the price of those KVIs. The prices for these items will be fiercely competitive when the stores are right next to each other.
But remember, space inside the discounter remains strictly limited. I mean, they are at 2,800 SKUs. They are not expanding to 10,000 SKUs.
There's a zero-tolerance policy for slow-moving SKUs.
Right. Every single item on the shelf must earn its place. This creates very strict rules for FMCG brands. Any brand trying to secure distribution in Aldi or Lidl faces a difficult environment.
There are three main rules for brands based on our sources. First, every product must maintain high inventory turnover from week one.
It must sell fast immediately. There is no time to build an audience.
Second, if a branded SKU does not beat the sales rate of the private label item it replaces, it gets delisted immediately.
Yeah, if they take their own ketchup off the shelf to sell a famous brand of ketchup, that famous brand must sell faster than the private label did.
If it does not, the store simply stops selling it. You are out.
And third, discounters will not carry secondary brand sizes. They won't carry slow-selling flavor variations.
If you make snacks, you do not get to put 3 different sizes of bags on the shelf. You don't get to test a new spicy flavor.
No, you get one slot, one size, one flavor, and it must perform.
Because of these strict rules, brands have a hard time getting permanent space. So discounters use in-and-out promotions.
This is how they handle brands without cluttering the store. Discounters will avoid permanent branded SKU expansion.
Instead, they bring in a branded SKU for just 2 to 3 weeks.
Right, they put the product on a large pallet display in the middle of the store. They sell it out completely, then they clear the floor.
It's totally temporary. They do this without adding permanent supply chain overhead. It is a quick promotional buy. When it is gone, it is gone.
Now we must look at the reaction from traditional supermarkets. Legacy grocers cannot sit still.
They cannot afford to lose volume to the discounters opening next door. Tesco and Sainsbury's will maintain their Aldi price match programs.
They will aggressively match prices on 500 to 700 KVIs. If Aldi drops the price of milk, Tesco drops the price of milk.
But matching those low prices hurts their profits. They fund this margin hit through non-food and discretionary categories.
Right, they make less money on the milk and bread, but they make more money when you buy a greeting card or a frying pan.
The real battle happens with two-tier pricing. This happens inside their loyalty apps. We're talking about the Tesco Club Card, Sainsbury's Nectar, and Lidl Plus.
General shelf prices for regular shoppers stay higher, but the app-only discounts lock in shopper retention.
You have to scan the app to get the lower price. This keeps shoppers coming back to the same store to get their app discounts.
Which brings us to the 2026 market projection. Based on all these changes, Aldi and Lidl's combined UK market share is projected to cross the 20 to 21% threshold.
That is a massive portion of the market. And this growth is no longer strictly from highly price-sensitive shoppers.
No, it is driven by middle-income households.
These middle-income households now use discounters as their primary grocer. The premium private label ranges drive this change. People trust the specially selected and deluxe brands just as much as premium legacy brands.
With large retailer status comes tighter compliance expectations. This involves sourcing and supply chain scrutiny. Because they are now large retailers, they must operate under strict grocery codes of practice.
The rules apply behind the scenes, too. Both discounters must maintain formal supplier relationships. They need transparent delisting processes.
If they kick a brand out, they must follow rules. They must follow strict payment schedules. This raises an important question. They expanded from 1,200 to 2,800 SKUs without losing their operational discipline. This was a calculated business strategy to capture full household food budgets.
Right.
The question is how suppliers will adapt. These supply chain rules show they are mature networks. They are no longer challenger startups needing regulatory protection. They are the new establishment.
I look at all these rules for brands and suppliers. It sounds like a brutal, zero-mistake survival game for any branded product trying to hold on to shelf space in these
Oh,
stores.
absolutely.
You have to sell fast, you have to beat the house brand, you have to follow strict rules, or you are out immediately. It is not an easy place to do business if you are an outside brand.
It is a harsh environment, but the UK competition regulations now reflect the reality of their scale. The playing field is leveled. The landscape in 2026 is defined by direct confrontation rather than stealth growth. They cannot hide behind their small store paperwork anymore.
We covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We saw how a low SKU, pallet-based model saved enough money to undercut the market.
Yeah.
We saw how adding fresh food captured the full family budget. And we saw how a paperwork change by the CMA forces these discounters into direct physical combat with traditional supermarkets. We want to leave you with a final thought to consider. Think about what happens to traditional legacy supermarkets when a discounter intentionally opens right next door to them in the same retail park. What happens when consumers can physically walk back and forth between two stores in the exact same parking lot to compare the prices of eggs, milk, and bread? The competition for your grocery budget has never been closer. You're listening to Global Signals by Andrew Tremin. Deep dives and insights about retail and FMCG.